Hello, how's it going? Happy Saturday. I was about to say sorry I bumped the microphone, but I didn't bump the microphone. I bumped my machine with the mouse, so I don't need to do that. So I've been really excited to sew this for a really long time now. So, but man, as simple as this jacket is, because honestly the construction is actually, it's pretty simple, especially if you don't do the lined version. I think the intimidating part's the hardware, and you could do buttons and buttonholes if you want to go around that, but it really is really simple to install the hardware. I haven't done it in a really long time, I'm going to be really honest with you, and I was looking at the how-tos on the Closet Core website on how to install grommets and snaps. But I was like, okay, I got all the tools, I got everything out here, I'm ready. I think the nerve-wracking thing is, what if I mess up on my fabric? You know, you're out that fabric, you might have to cut it out. Maybe you've already sewn something on it, or maybe you're out that snap and you didn't have enough. So, yeah, I have all those nervousnesses as well, but I kind of console myself with backup plans. Like, okay, if this doesn't go well, what's my backup plan? Buttons and buttonholes, right? I'll figure out something, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. Hi, Karen, how's it going? It sounds funny to me in here right now. It's like, does it sound okay to you guys? Like, I feel like there's an echo right here. I don't know why. I can't figure it out. Like, I feel like I'm hearing my voice bounce off the hard surfaces here. Hey, Malin, how's it going? So let me know if it sounds okay. And we are going to have to adjust the brightness back and forth today because my fabric selection is so dark. But I did bring the camera down pretty low, so it'll be a little closer, and I think that'll help see some of the detail. Oh, thank you, Elizabeth. Hi. Hello, Susan. Greetings from California. Yep, absolutely, Susan. I totally agree with you. And I think I sometimes get comments from people, actually in real life. I don't know how you can sew on camera live without practicing it, and I make mistakes here. Oh, it's the spin. It's a spin sitting here. That's what it is. The noise. But I fully believe, like, you don't get better until you know how to fix your mistakes. And there's some things I just can't fix. They just go straight into the garbage. It happens. Like, you just don't see it here because these aren't as dire, you know, like I can fix most of the things I do on here. So, but I've definitely done that. So yeah, I mean, that happens. So you're going to see me do it real time. And you've seen me do rivets that didn't work out, you know, and I actually said I was going to fix that one rivet on that pair of jeans, and I never did. I totally forgot about it. And I noticed it one day a few weeks ago. I was like, oh yeah, that rivet's poking through. Like it poked through all the way. It doesn't scratch anything. So that being said, even though this is kind of like a simple construction, especially if you're not lining it, I have been doing so much prep before going live on this project, more than, I can't remember what, I think the Cascade duffel coat, or maybe the deer and doe, what was that deer and doe coat called? What the heck? Was that the Cascade? I did 2 coats that winter. I think I did a lot of prep behind the scenes for those. This one I'm just doing a lot because I'm like, all right, I'm looking at the tutorials for the snaps and the grommets. Hi, Penny. Oh, it's just a scarf. In fact, I'm going to take my sweater off. It's just a shawl. I don't wear shawls on camera very much, do I? I don't actually wear them very often. But my hair's up, so, you know, when you're used to wearing a blanket on your head, you get cold. So my hair's up, so it's cooler. Opium! Thank you, Malin. Yeah, when you said opium, I was like, I'm not, what? I was like, oh yeah, that's the coat. The opium coat. So I did those. So I've been, you know, like we did the otter wax on camera the other day. I rubbed it on, right? If you saw my stories, I couldn't resist. It was raining out, so I put it under the rain, and then I set it on a little jar and I poured water in it. It did really good. There was one little spot, and I couldn't tell if it's because the wetness looked like it came from this side, the back side. I think I had touched something. Everything was wet out there. So so I will admit, like, as much as I usually try and do everything kind of spontaneously on here, you are going to see this spontaneous. I am doing a lot of prep on this one. Oh, which one is this? It really needs to be blocked again too, because you can't even see the lace. I feel like this is a through the loops design. I'm really sorry, I don't remember. But I'm 95% positive it's on my Ravelry if you want to check it out. And my Ravelry is my username is just Saremy, my first name, Saremy. Hi, Allison. Nice, Allison. That's awesome. You hadn't seen, oh yeah, it's pretty small. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of shawls that are pretty small. And I use them more like a scarf. It felt kind of good to take it off. I'm going to put it back on. This is my current way of putting it on. I put this and I tuck it around like that. And then I do the same on this side. And then I pull it a little bit. I had to have something a little bit small because if it's falling off my shoulders here when I'm sewing, it becomes a problem. So I kind of figured I'd be cool. I kind of keep I just turned down the heat before I went live, and I put it at 64 because I stay warm when I'm live. Go figure. So yeah, I'm all amped up. So I have made, if you've watched the past 2 streams for this, I have made a lot of modifications, and it does look like I'm veering away, but I'm not really veering away too much. So the modifications I made based on fit don't affect the sewing, but the things I have done to affect the sewing are the back. I added the yoke on the back. So if you want that pleated yoke look, you're gonna have to use the instructions, but it's very simple. You're gonna just hem the yoke and then place it on top of the upper back. That's basically all you do. And I didn't do that because I'm planning on waterproofing my jacket, and that pleat would have been a problem, that whole like separate piece. And there was no function to that except for aesthetic. So if you want that aesthetic, go for it. So mine's just like a standard shirt yoke on the back without a pleat. So I would have added a pleat for like movement, but that would have been a problem with the waterproofing as well, because I'm just rubbing a bar of wax over it. So the sewing of the sleeve is going to be the same, even though I kind of fussied over Cladonia. Thank you, Karen. I can't believe I didn't know that, honestly. I knit a few of her shawls. I really like her stuff. Cladonia. I've made it twice. That's why I'm kind of like, how did I not know that? The other one I made, you've probably seen me wear more often, and it's in Brooks yarn. And this is, I don't know what yarn this was, but it probably says on my Ravelry page. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, anyway, so what are the other things I've done to affect the sewing? Okay, so the pockets. The other thing is, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I don't like these pockets. There's nothing wrong with them. I just don't like the look of them. And then when I learned the flap was fake, like it's just like a aesthetic look, that is a no-go for me. I'm really about function. And I kind of gave a walkthrough verbally on how you can make that flap functional, plus have a double pocket so that you'd have a pocket on top of the pocket bag there. So your hand can go into the flap and you could have a hand warmer pocket. And so I gave kind of a verbal walkthrough on the I feel like it was the second video I did, the pattern adjustment one. And then I'm going to do welt pockets that drop into the jacket because that'll be better for waterproofing, because top stitching around the perimeter of this pocket was going to be just, you know, a source for breach for water. So I am going to keep the look of it though, and so I just made a shorter flap to put over my welt pocket. After the stream is live, and soon I will give you guys my pattern pieces on the welt. And so I just traced them off really quick. This is quick and dirty. So you would tape these two pieces together, and then here's the welt and the flap. And I will make that a link in the description to a document. Hi Ursula, how's it going? Welcome. Hey Lou. What? Good morning. Hi, Sydney. I'm such a nerd. Let's see. I barely made it on time, you guys, today. Like, it was still in bed at like 8:20, emailing. Andrea, how's it going? Thank you for your email yesterday. That was really nice. All right, so I'm not sure a lot of people here, but send to us on Patreon. Oh, that's a good idea, Andrea. I could do that. You're so good. You're so good. You're like my wise woman. So, Andrea was watching the stream the other day and heard my announcements, and so I'll probably have to repeat this a few times, but my landlord stopped by, popped in, and we finally got to chat, and I just said, I'm still willing to like rent internet from you somehow. I don't know what that means, or what that looks like. The thing is, this is a big building and there's nobody in it but me most of the time. It's kind of funny. So they're out doing the landscaping thing and all that, and so they're out in the field, and I'm the only one here sometimes on campus, I like to call it, and so people come to my door and I'm like, I'm not them, whatever. Oh, is it your birthday, Sydney? Is it your birthday? So and there's another guy he helped out after the fire. Not like he helped me out for the fire, but he helped this guy out after the fire, and he's another person he's helping like me offer space here. But he's also kind of gone in the afternoons. So, hi Ray. Yeah, it was. Her Christmas vlog was really fun. So there's a lot of space here, and I said, if there's a space I could just have my computer at, I could at least just upload video. Like, I won't sit here and stuff. He was like, well, yeah. And so there's a smaller suite, like an office inside of his office. So, happy birthday, Sydney. So he said, well, what can you pay? And so I severely lowballed it because that's what I could pay and I'm willing to pay. And he's thinking about it, and I feel optimistic. So I think streams can continue, which is really great. And I think I'll just have to adjust where I work and how I work. And I'll probably kind of change my routine where I'm prepping for next week's stream while I'm streaming a project. So when I'm not live, I will be here preparing my project for the next week, so then I can walk in the door and stream. So that's really good news. I got a couple really nice emails from you guys, and I really appreciate that. That's why I didn't want to do some big old drama-inducing announcement. I'm leaving YouTube, because I just really want to, stream for you guys and do it. And I didn't have any qualms lowballing the offer because I don't really, I don't know, I do this because I like to. I would just have to shove everything down a hall, but not everything. It is a small spot. And and this isn't to say, I had another offer by a really wonderful woman in the community, and she had her house, I can't even describe it. But the person who built her house put this guest room, and it's the smallest guest room I've ever seen in my life. So someone really couldn't live there, but it had a bathroom, and she said, you can have this. But it's like, even though it's outside of their home, it's at their home property, and it felt really, it was great, and I really thought about it, but I actually don't think my stream setup would fit in there. My stream setup's not that big. Like, the footprint is, like 8 by 10. So yeah, exactly, you guys. So that'll be really great. I'm waiting to hear back from him, and we'll see. I'm gonna crunch my numbers and stuff, because hello, Crafting with Junior. Oh, it's Unica. How's it going? Nice to see you. Did you change your name? Yeah, the amount that equals the value. I mean, it's more like actually this place is a steal. I spend $1,000 here, and that includes my internet, my PG&E, which is gas and electric for those outside of California, and then my rent. And it is a really nice space. It's huge. It's way bigger than what I need. It's a really good value. And my internet is like 850 download and 175 upload, something like that. I've never been, and so I hate leaving this internet. Just that internet alone would easily cost me $300 a month. Yeah. Yeah, keep it up. Exactly. And so like I say, I just kind of want to be the PBS of sewing, but not PBS, you know. I just want to sew and help people and give back and make room for people like Andrea who are really doing the work out there and just help you sew things through and enable people, you know. But I'm not going to do it at a deficit. I love you guys, but I'm not, I have to take my own advice about how you cost things and how you smartly do it. And, you know, you got to be honest. So, anyway, you're here for the Kelly. I am too. So, then lighting. Oh, you're lighting. Oh, the internet is your biggest. Yeah. And this is the thing is like, I'm going to talk. I just launched that video yesterday. I've been doing this little mini series on design to manufacturing, a class I could have charged for, but I don't want to because I really want to enable as many people to bring back manufacturing to our country as possible. That's always been my little platform. And I don't know. I just really believe that you got to be really smart about your planning, and I have to take my own advice on that. I kind of lost my thread of thought. So, yeah, her lighting is awesome. I just have one box light here and crazy fluorescent lights in here. So, I mean, remember when I was in the room out there? The backdrop was so beautiful, right? With the shelves, floor-to-ceiling shelves. Like, I'm going to miss those. We're all going to miss those. The library ladder that rolls. Oh, this place is pretty cool. But the sound is better in here, the lighting is better in here, and it's quieter. So when all the guys come back and clock in and clock out, you know, we're not hearing their banter. But we do hear them blowing the parking lot because that's what you do or something. So anyway. All right. So this is kind of a out of the frying pan into the fryer. Is that the expression? Like, you're kind of dropped right into this. And so my Welt Pockets are first. We ain't messing around. And which means also that I'm going to have to put a snap on pretty right away because I need that for before we put the lining on. Andrea, really? That's awesome. Oh, my lighting could be so much better. I mean, my sound could be so much better, but my microphone, I used to have a wireless one, and it just wasn't that great. Yeah, I mean, I kind of do, Allison. I'm really transparent, but the thing is, I don't want to do it as a way to guilt people. But I was pretty transparent in my last stream. I get about $100 a month in ad revenue. That is recent, like it going up that much, which isn't very much. I get about 300, a little over 300 in Patreon, and Spoonflower fabric sales, which doesn't have anything to do with the stream, varies wildly, and I can't really depend on it. But the pandemic was really good to my Spoonflower thing, and it dropped a lot in January. So, you know, people are busy. So, what was the other one? And so, like, the things, my expenses are my overhead here, because I can't do this at home. This is what I was going to say when I just kind of lost my thread. I don't really feel like anyone who does what they're doing for work, especially if it's to build a community or whatever, should actually have to do this in their home, right? I mean, it's really great that Andrea can do that. She doesn't have that expense because it's part of probably whatever her monthly, I don't know anything about Andrea's expenses. I don't want to speak for her. But for anybody, you know, you shouldn't have to be using your home for your business unless it works for you and you can, you know, maybe charge that off on your taxes and stuff like that. But it shouldn't have to be that way for you to be able to afford to do business is my point. And so my overhead here is my rent here because I don't have good enough internet at home to stream. Like, not by a long shot. Like, it's not even funny what my internet is at home. It's not funny at all. I have to pay for my website, which is, it was really a good price, but they finally had to raise it. It's like $100 a month or $120. And I pay for things like Canva, Linktree, I mean, my materials all the stuff that you see here that I have to use for the projects if I don't have a sponsor. Oh my gosh, what are the things I pay for? Well, supplies for the stream, the cameras, all that stuff. So there's things like that. I do have a Patreon. No, exactly, Andrea. Yeah. Right? Yeah, so that's funny because I'm actually thinking about letting go of my website. But the thing is, my website, it backs up the stream so that each project is on there and people can find all the details, all the links to the videos there. I'm sorry I don't have the Kelly Anorak on there. So things like that. So I'm trying to decide, do I go back to Etsy? Don't get me started on that. That'll be in that series. Or do I try and make it, you know, like I don't want to have to have a product, but I will probably have, I'm still considering doing the binding. I kind of backed off on offering binding for sale, but I think I will do that because I think that's kind of a fun thing to offer. And I haven't ordered fabric for it yet, so don't get too excited yet. And then I have the webbing for the wallaby, and that's really all I want to sell. I have a ton of stuff on my website, but I really want that to go away. I don't want to ship packages. So, what else? I am deficit spending right now, Allison. But I have money from when I closed Chicken Boots. And now I'm at the limit where I'm like, this was my line. I'm not crossing my line. You know what I mean? Nancy said something like, I thought you'd have to be independently wealthy to do this. I'm not. My husband and I are pretty modest people. But yeah, I don't have to contribute. I am contributing to the world. Okay. I don't want to talk about my finances anymore. It's making me uncomfortable because I don't want anyone to feel bad. Because it's all good here for me. Well, maybe Penny. I mean, he's really good at marketing. Right? Mr. Domestic is really good at that. And he regurgitates a lot of his stuff, which is really smart. So he has a really great library of stuff to do that with. And he can actually regurgitate the same thing in a different way. Oh, okay, Andrea. Yeah, no worries, Allison. It's fine. I actually really like being transparent about all this stuff, and it's why I'm doing this design to manufacture series, because I'm going to go over costing and pricing, why I didn't wholesale, why you shouldn't donate stuff and do giveaways, and all the retreats that ask you for free crap, don't give stuff to them. I have really strong opinions on that stuff. Andrea would really appreciate my hard line on some of that. Yeah, it's interesting, Allison. I actually follow a young YouTuber, and most of her content is just not interesting to me. But she is one of the only people that shows her YouTube analytics on the screen. Her name's Shelby Church. And I really appreciate that. And like, she even just did like a yearly recap. What did YouTube pay me for having this many subscribers and blah, 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 blah. So it is really interesting seeing that. And it was one of the things that made me go, yeah, there's just no way. Like, starting a YouTube channel right now and thinking you're going to get that. Some people will, because of the nature of what they are talking about and who their viewer is. But as DIY, there's plenty of great sewing channels out there. I'm not going to be making 35 grand a month like some of these people, you know? So, but it is cool to see, like, I can see how old people are, like the bracket of how old they are, what gender they are, what countries they're in, how long they watch for. I don't see who, but, you know, it's pretty interesting stuff. I'm just procrastinating sewing. Okay. All right, so we're doing the Kelly Anorak. And I meant to say this at the very beginning of the video before I said all this, but if you are watching me and this is a recording, First of all, no, it won't be edited down. Hopefully there's some timestamps in the description so you can jump to what you're looking for, and usually those are provided by a really nice viewer, so you should thank them. But I'm going to try and do them for this as I go, so that's why these are going to be nice short videos. So, exactly, Andrea. So, but if you are looking for a specific step, I would definitely look at the timestamps in the description, or hover your mouse over the time bar if you're on a computer and see what chunk it comes to. And if you are looking for links to the other videos, they will be on the website. It's soso.live. Hopefully soon. They're not right this moment, but they will be, and they'll all be there. And there's a cutting video, pattern adjustment video so far, and this is sewing part 1. So anyway, I wanted to say that at the very beginning. I need to just record something like that and have it so I don't get those comments. All right. Okay, so I got all my hardware out here, and I even parsed out like what I'm going to need today. So I'm just going to need like 2 grommets today for the drawstring, and then the snap setting. And I'm not sure I went over everything I'm changing as far as sewing wise. Did I finish going over all that? So I'm lining it and stuff, but that's not different. The thing I'm doing mostly different is the welt pocket. The welt pocket and that yoke seam, right? That's all I'm doing different sewing wise for the lined version. I modified my hood fit. I modified my sleeve fit. I gotta like scroll my video down because I keep seeing my hands waving around at the bottom of the screen there. It's distracting. I'm not sure, Beverly. I'm gonna just do the math and crunch the numbers, and so I'm just gonna look at other ways to have that content on there, because I could just do Etsy as a website for selling things like the patterns, but all of those project things, I don't want to lose all those. I probably will keep the website though. I'm not getting rid of it anytime soon, so don't worry about that. I don't have the bandwidth to deal with that. I took the shoulder seam out. Thank you, Ray. I took the shoulder seam out, and the reason I did this is because I'm waterproofing my jacket, and I didn't want a seam right here where your biggest point of contact with the rain. So I removed the shoulder seam. Yes, it leaves my arm's eye, but I wasn't going to go that far. But typically raincoats don't have a shoulder seam here or an arm's eye or armhole seam. They do this all in one type of thing. It's a casual raincoat. I'm not going on an expedition. All right, so like I said, I'm going to do a welt pocket. I did a sample yesterday. It went really good. So this is what my welt's going to look like. So it's got the little flap. So it still looks a lot like the Kelly, where it has this little angled flap, and then you have this drop-in welt here. And on the back side, it's just going to go to the center front seam, and this is why I need to do my pockets pretty much right off the bat, because you do your zipper pretty early on in this, and don't be nervous about the zipper. The instructions are, quite frankly, really confusing. It took me 3 tries to figure out what they meant, but it's actually really easy to sew, so don't worry about that. Don't fret. One of my concerns with my pocket is this, you know, I'm going to make sure that it hangs above where my hem comes up, but I'm pretty sure I'm fine. And it hangs loose, like I'm not going to attach it, but I am going to attach it at the center front, which is really great. Don't you love it when your pocket can't move back, you know? So yeah, this went pretty good. I had to adjust a couple things, but there we go. All right, so how did I do that? All right, so I have I changed my thread. So let's sew a flap or two. How's the lighting? Ah, me too, Allison. Okay, I was just checking out, make sure I got everything. That is a bummer, Allison. I think you're right, though. I do think that they meant to say over the, over your clothes. Oh, hey, Noon Sky. Oh, yeah, this is the, oh, I'm still in bed and it's a shower day. Honestly, I'm so bad at putting this hairstyle in that I should have just taken a shower and done my hair. It takes me so long. You know the best part about this? Ray, thank you. It won't be hard. I already have it scanned into the computer. I just have to remember how to do the document thing. Thank you. It's actually really easy on Patreon, so I'm really glad Andrea said that. Thank you. Alright, so yeah, the best part about the hairdo is taking it out at night. It doesn't hurt or anything, it's really comfortable, but yeah, there's that relief of taking it out. So I'm actually gonna turn my pocket like this. So one of my pet peeves with pocket flaps is those raw edges that you have when you lift it up right here. You know, right here, like worrying about, catching those. So I was just like, oh, I'll just get rid of that. Just get rid of that. You could do either, Penny. I actually think I don't need the snap, but I'm going to do it because I don't want to get accused of, cheating. Do I ever take the easy way out? Come on, Penny. Come on. No, I actually do often take the easy way out. That's not true. I think the easy way is the way to go. Like the way I install collars. Oh, that reminds me. Well, a few things. I got the Dawn jeans pattern. I know a few of you have been wanting me to sew those. I had gotten a gift certificate for my birthday to Needle Sharp oh, bugger. That's annoying. Last May. And I just saw her post recently that she had Dawn jeans on there. So I've used it for that. So that's kind of fun. Let's get those threads back in there. Now I gotta be really careful. So I got the Dawn jeans. I got them in mustard. I have to admit, the look on the pattern though, I'm not sure about that pattern. Like, I'm gonna actually change this a little tiny bit to go in a little bit. The way I'm just hoping that it's just the color of the denim they used. I'm not sure. But I do love the idea of having so many of these, jeans patterns sewn through. Alright, so we have that one. Alright, let's do this one. I look at that, a little cricket right there. It's so cute. When you pivot at these points right here, remember that you need to pivot perpendicular to the point of the pocket. It's kind of an optical illusion. I sometimes do this, and I look to make sure that I'm at that point when I'm pivoting. This point is super gentle. Ooh, there's a little cut in my fabric right there, so I'm gonna have to cut it a little shy. There's a little cut right there I didn't notice. Let's hope that's still wide enough. Pretty sure I made it wide enough. And if that point is really steep, I would clip it right there. Oh, shoot. I forgot to do the back. And I don't put my hole to turn this through at the corner. Don't do that, because you want to be able to already have the corner in place. When you leave like the opening at one end, I find that to be much more fiddly to kind of turn it in on itself and clean finish. There's just something about it. This would probably not be too bad because it's these fabrics, but certain fabrics can be kind of a nightmare for doing that. Oh, you're gonna see this. This is so easy. It's gonna be fine. Did I put interfacing back there though? I think I still need to. Oh no, I did. Okay, so that's the other thing I did off camera. I put all my interfacing on, and so I'll talk about those. So don't skip that step. So, About Them by Win Michelle. Being shared about Hulu. About Closet Core? Oh, interesting. Her foray into projector patterns is pretty fun. All right. Gotta be careful with these linens when you're turning the corners, because what'll happen, you saw what happened. I'm kind of pinching it and holding it while I do this so that I can kind of stabilize it. That way I don't pull those couple of threads. All right. And then we'll have to iron these. Oh, the Dawn jeans. Oh, interesting. Well, I feel like now that I'm being like even more honest than I have been. Yeah, the way that those look at the front crotch area, and I can't tell if it's that they fit interestingly or if it's just a photo thing. Anytime you're just staring at that spot or any spot, like I'm always looking at this area on a garment when I see it posted, and if it's pants, I look at the crotch and the butt. I mean, we do, right? So, you know, that area, it just, like, once you start looking at it a lot, they all look wrong, you know? So the thing to do sometimes when I start thinking that is, let's look at one that I like, let's look at mine. Let's look at me in the mirror. And then I'm like, oh, it looks the same, you know? So you just got to kind of take it with a grain of salt. But, you know, the pants that I, like, just the photo of that bug me are the Persephone and the Landers. Those, I don't know. I think that is for a very specific body type. People love them. So it must just be that. All right, so these are ready. I'm going to press these and then top stitch around. Oh, I have one corner here that I didn't do. And I think when I did this, when I did this one, I actually closed this at the same time I top stitched it down. Because that's how I am. Oh, really, Allison? You need an FFO week? I need it, yeah. I think sometimes I need an FFO month. Okay, so now we have our flaps. They need to be pressed. Where are my welts? Why aren't they sitting here? Oh, here they are. Okay. I'm going to sew the welt now. I'm going to sew I feel like this welt pocket is kind of a cheater welt pocket. It reminds me of one I've sewn on a garment that I can't place by a company. And what I just went for the fact that I know a flap is going to hide this opening. So this is why I think if you're interested in a welt and you have a flap, you should totally do the welt, because it's such a great way to, if it goes wrong, your flap's going to cover it. You like your Landers? See, exactly. See, and I just think like, and the Landers and the Persephone, I can't remember the difference, but one of them doesn't have a side seam, right? That's just so crazy. All right, so these need to be pressed as well. Yeah, let's go do that. I had so much trouble getting my iron camera back where it was. I couldn't remember how I did it. So I have a little scrap piece of interfacing here. Wait, my serger's on. I bet it's been on since yesterday. What the heck? Okay, so let's... kind of pressing this so that I don't want any of that white showing on the other side, you know? Try and get that right on there. My iron's still heating up again. Yeah, it does sound like a lot of people love the Dawn jeans too. So those are basically a zipper fly, right, with no stretch. So we did the Morgans, which were a button fly with no stretch. I feel like some of my white's showing, so I'm gonna. I like to push it and kind of push that seam allowance that way so that I see a little bit of the dark blue all the way around. Well, that's pretty cool, Allison. Is she a pattern drafter? Sometimes I just don't think, I think that we just aren't meant to wear pants. Do you guys ever think that? I think we're lucky that pants work most of the time. Okay, let's give the test. Oh, this pen's kind of bent. Let's see if I see any white. The step I'm kind of worried about on this jacket is the waist casing. I'm not worried about it, but I really, really wish I could do it on the inside and the draw cord be on the inside, the whole thing. You know what I mean? So that the draw cord isn't hanging down in front of the jacket. That kind of look isn't my favorite. And the draw cord is like a wick for water, you know? And there would be a way for me to do that, but it would modify it far too much because of the lining. So I'm just going to stick to the way they have you do it. I have a little bit of white showing here. So we lift up my flap and we see the egret or the heron, and then look, we see that cricket. Where's my water? I just don't have water in here. I think that's what's going on. Oh, she's a sample maker. That's pretty cool. Those people are invaluable. Oh, interesting. Oh, she's a pattern drafter. Oh, well, that makes sense. What is it? White Wizard Dreams? Okay. Right, Sydney? Perfectly centered bird. Well, he's not really perfectly centered, but he'll do. I'm not too into perfect around here. Should be, huh? So because I interfaced my flap, I feel like it shrank a tiny bit, and so but the thing is I sewed it flat on there, so you know, just gotta take what I can get. All right, let's get the welt. I'm trying to decide too, like, if I want to hand sew these little welts to the jacket and make them look really nice, or if I just top stitch them down. I top stitched them down in my sample just to see, you know, how that would look. And you know, it looks meh, as it should. Oh, that's cool. That's a pretty cool Facebook group. I think I just realized the other day that someone won't think I'm pregnant because of my age. Like, it finally hit me. Like, it's funny. I saw some funny TikTok where where I think the guy was at a drive-through picking up curbside, and there was alcohol, and he said, "Oh, do you need to see my ID?" And he's like, "Oh, do you need me to take it out?" And the guy was like, "Oh no, I just needed to see the 19." And the guy was just like for 1900. So it's like when you realize like, oh, that's right. I've been starting to get like a little extra respect when I'm in places, and I'm like, oh my god, I think it's my white hair. I'll take it, because before it wasn't like that. And I think that just dawned on me the other day, like, oh, no one's gonna think I'm pregnant now. So that's pretty funny. Okay, so we have our pieces. So on the Kelly, you have a right front and a left front, and the right front is you trim it. You also put this interfacing on here. So you need to make sure your pockets are the same way. If you're using, like, this little pattern I'm giving you won't have that specified on there, but it doesn't matter. You'll know when it doesn't line up with the front, So let's see. All right, so all I did was just draw a little chalk line where it's going to go. Let's see. There's this one. And this one go with this one. And one of each of these. And then this one gets this set. So I ended up making my pocket opening a tiny bit bigger. So the first thing I'm going to do is put my welt here, and I'm going to line it up with this slit. And so this slit is the middle of this box, right? So it's just down the middle of this box right there. So I'm going to line up this raw edge to that slit. I'm just going to center it. And I'm going to sew it on with a 1/4 inch seam. Can you guys see okay? Let me brighten it up a little bit. I wonder if an Elgato Stream Deck would let me do this in one click. Okay. Oh, that's so bright. Let's zoom it in a little more. And then maybe we won't have to brighten it up as much. Can you guys see that? Careful of your eyeballs. If that's too bright, tell me. I don't know what your guys' devices are like. Do I still have the sample of what? Oh, the sample. This right here? This sample? That's what we're talking about? God, you can barely see it now. So the top stitching, I top stitched this down. Is that what you're talking about? Rather than hand sewing it. Sorry, it's really bright now. So basically this edge right here is the edge of the welt. This one looks kind of better. I wasn't going for couture on this. Alright, so here we go. Alright. And now we're going to center this as well. And what I like to do, in fact, I only draw the box on this lining piece. I don't worry about it on here. I just need some placement on here. I have these dots here for my flap, and those are actually in the wrong spot. And I learned that after I did my sample. If I could live in the Deer Street. The right side, oh. I don't know. Alright, so let's see. What I like to do is just kind of fold this. You could do this so many better ways because I'm not drafting this pattern to be, I just did this on the fly. I didn't do all the markings. Alright, so now I have it placed down There's probably even a better way to do this. So now I'm just going to stitch my box. I don't know why I just started in the corner. Usually I like to start in the middle of the box and then go around. So it's a little bright. If that's too bright, tell me. I feel like I'm barely catching this. So let's move this. Let's move this a little bit. I'm just going to move it a little bit. Where's my seam ripper? Sorry, alligator. Or is it a crocodile in Florida? It's a gator, isn't it? I know this is Florida fabric, so. I've been finding lots of other pattern companies lately through other people's accounts and things like that. Kind of good to break away. Heavy lid noise. Did you see the Sew Over 50 post today? Do you follow them on Instagram? It's all about women who did that. My hair went white and I didn't even know it. Alligators in Florida. Hi Nancy, how's it going? All right, there we go. Let's make sure, I just want to make sure that I'm enclosing that. So like I said, I could have marked this a little bit better. If I were making a bunch of these, I would have marked this. I can barely grab my stitch there. It's kind of thick. I did put a new needle in though. Oh, I'm kind of on that line. Maybe I'm being a little picky. There's my line of stitching right here, which I did a little bit scant of the 1/4 inch because I wanted to make sure that it got enclosed in this step right here. So let's line up this line right there. All right, there we go. No problem. We are back on track. This is obviously on the bias as well, so you got to be really careful. You're not stretching or anything like that. So I'm going to sink my needle just past where my welt is underneath. Like that. And then I'm going to pivot. I just lost everything on the back side. I'm actually going to go... I'm going to go just a tad past my box. Like that. I'm going to go down this side. And then, now I can feel my flap right here is just outside this box. So we're definitely going to include it. Doesn't matter, my box is wrong. Alright, so now we have our box on there. Now we're going to cut. So when you're cutting, it doesn't really matter where. The reason you're cutting is you just need to get into these corners here, and you need your opening. But we're just going to try and cut in the middle so it's far enough away from the edges, you know. So I'm going through all the layers, and then we're going to really carefully get into that corner. So I think the thing that people really don't like about welts is what happens after this step when you turn it to the right side, and if you get those puckers, right? So this is what you're doing to prevent that. You want to clip right into those corners there. That's why it's always a little Y. This side's a lot easier because it doesn't have the welt in it. These scissors are so sharp, I'm so scared. Alright, so same thing. I'm like pushing up against the little welt. Lots of different ways to sew a welt. You know, this isn't a blazer with the, you know, like 2 sides of a welt, a double welt basically. I really want my big scissors. Oh, there they are. The funny thing about these, I've mentioned this before, is if something's really thick and they're super sharp, the sharpest scissors I've ever had in my life. If you are pressing harder, it doesn't matter because the handles are squishy, so you have no leverage. So that's why holding something a little bit sturdy that doesn't bend while you're trying to push is great. All right. I'm being careful because you're all watching. All right, and you're pretty much done now. That's it. Yeah, I saw that too, Lid. I saw that too. I was like, that's a good point. Like, maybe I should check out if I don't need to wear certain things anymore. I'm going to get rid of this little piece hanging off here. Let's see if I have one over here. Yeah, because that's just that little, remember that little welt was a rectangle? And I just basically cut off a little bit of that rectangle. So that's what that is. It just fell off. And now you're going to shove this through. You're going to give it a nice tug. And let's just look at it. Look, it doesn't look like we're going to get puckers or tucks on that side, this side, but this side doesn't matter, right? It's this side that matters. And this looks pretty good too. You really want that little, it'll be right on this side of this welt and this side too. So we just need to press this now. And that's it. I mean, that's pretty much everything you need to do as far as the tricky bits. So now once this is pressed, we can stitch around this opening and then we're going to stitch this down. And now this is the time you have to do this stitching because once you put the pocket on, you can't stitch through this. So don't forget that. I used to always forget that part. So don't forget that part. Wait, did anyone say anything? Oh, Helen. Nice to see you, Helen. Oh, no. Oh, you can't sew behind his Zoom meetings? Okay, so then we have our flap too, and it's going to go over this, and that's pretty much it. So now let's go press this. We're just going to get all the way through one. But we also have our snap that we need to start thinking about as well. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do actually is kind of, can I do that? I don't know if I can do that. Yeah, maybe I can do this. I'm just going to press this open like this, kind of like you do on a French seam. I think that'll help it. Help it turn to this side easier, like when I do this. Yeah. So I know all of you can sew in a box, right? So you can totally do this. You can totally do a welt like this. You can also make this a zippered welt, kind of in a easy, dirty way by don't sew this first. Don't sew the welt. Just sew your box, clip it really nicely, turn it to the inside like I'm doing now, and then you would just place the zipper behind that opening and top stitch it on. I say quick and dirty because the back of your zipper is going to be exposed on the inside of your pocket, but you could have some zippered pockets. And if you're not bothered by your zipper being inside here showing, if your first few, I wouldn't, but you can do do it like it's a welt like this, where you put your zipper in all four sides too. I used to do those all the time in technical outerwear, and trust me, you worried about making a mistake on this, you can't make a mistake on the waterproof fabrics, because once you put a hole in it, it's pretty much, unless you're going to put that hole in the seam allowance, it's dead. It's trash. And when you're dealing with, $45 a yard fabric, I know the pressure. Okay. Nancy. You crack me up. I felt kind of robbed at first that my husband got to work at home and I had to go in, because it used to always be the opposite, like a long, long time ago. But I actually don't mind it. I've actually grown to really like the drive and being able to now listen to audiobooks. I'm re-listening to one that I read when I was like probably 20 right now, and it's just so awesome, and I'm just loving those 20 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to top stitch around this pocket now. And I think I probably will just, I don't know if maybe I'll top. See, do you see how this would be so nice if it were just hand stitched down? Listen to me talk about hand stitching. But here's my welt so far. So bright. This is how it looks on the inside. So here's this welt right here. So let's just top stitch around this opening. And let's start here since this is going to be hidden under the welt. Yeah, I am. Last stuff there. It's kind of dark for me too. You think it's dark for you guys, but it's dark for me too. Okay, so now we have our stitch around that. And so now I can decide, do I want to top stitch these down? Or I think I'm going to hand sew them. Why not? Right? Okay, so here's our time for our flap. So we could put our flap snap on right now before we top stitch it on. It might make it a little easier to do and position it. So let's do it. Ooh, I'm nervous. Let's tone it down a little bit though. Nancy O. Okay, so we're doing a snap, right? Yeah. Oh, I know. We learned from this that we need to have a better protection system. This table, I don't know why this table is so fragile. Like I have this crack over here. Can you see the crack? Oh yeah. Where my box light fell. Oh, and that reminds me, this is sponsored by Hearts. They gave me a credit toward the fabric, and they provided the pattern. So huge shout out to them. And if you guys, there's a little code right here, 10% off anything on their website. So thanks to Hearts for giving us this project, because this is really fun. Okay, so let's see. Let me pull up my little tutorial from Closet Core, and here I'll put the links to it in the chat. But I literally just Googled how to install a snap closet. There you go. Hey Terry. Do you see it? Yes, my little bins. I use them as trays. Okay, that's the snap, and here's the grommet. Keep clicking on the wrong tab. Get back there. There we go. How's it going, Terry? Welcome, welcome. Is this cord in front? It is. I knew that was there. Why didn't you say something? Okay. So let's see here. Let's look at the how to install snap. I read this through a few times, but because I'm live, you know. So we need to have the hole. Maybe I could get the pattern out for the placement. I'm gonna crease it. I think I can find the pattern piece easily. I wonder if I could. Let me go see if it's right there on the table. But I think I put it in the envelope. Never mind, it's not on there. I don't see a mark on there. So we're winging it. So let's see. Will this show up on the brown, no, not really. I have my choco liner. Okay, so my point looks a little off center to that right there. So let's check it again. Because do I want the appearance of centered or do I want centered? That's always the question, right? Okay, and then I think like right about here. Here? I can't see the chat, sorry. I have my tutorial pulled up. Oh, slack sewing. Nancy, really? I thought about doing that as like like doing my patterns as a class. Well, these are slick. Look how like straight up and down they are. So this little kit didn't come with instructions. I kind of like the way that looks. Okay. Here we go. So let's measure this. It's a little over 5/8 up. So when we do the other one, let's just do the other one now. Nothing's changing. Might as well. Oh, I'm going right through the cricket. Ugh. Fine. Fine. Oh man, I'm gonna brain that egret too. So glad I spent all that time fussy cutting. It really wasn't that much time. I'm being a baby, but still. So it was about right here, I think. Okay, it's a little on the lower side. Okay. So this kit actually came with a cutting die. Pretty cool. Alright, so I'm going to look at my screen here. Do you guys want to see my screen? Let's see. We're going to make our hole. I think I know how to do this. Where's my Alright, this is why I don't have cameras attached to my sewing table, but it's going to get loud probably real quick. That didn't do anything. That did. That went into my mat. Woo! I was going to use my screw punch, and then I noticed that this came in the kit. Poor egret. I kind of picked this because my husband's really into birds, and I thought, oh, this will be such a great thing. And then I saw the cricket on the other pocket. I was like, I've got my husband in one pocket and my daughter in the other. Can you please go through? Let's just cut that. She says you can also use like an X-Acto knife or something. All right. had to fling the fabric in order to find the crickets. Oh, I know. Okay. Place the end of the narrow tool through the socket and align it with the post. Alright, so it looks like we do this from the... There's my snap. Here's my other piece. It's like that. Oh, it looks like I didn't get my lining on this one too. Oh, there it is right there. Okay. So I use a tool. Where is that? Oh, I use a screw punch for usually doing holes. This has actually proven to be a good investment, but it is kind of a splurge. And I will say I got this because of pattern drafting and to be able to get a hole, a nice hole in the middle of a pattern, because you can't use a hole punch when it's more than 1.5 inches away from the edge, you know? And you can get different dies for different diameters, and so this was really great. And we also cheated and used this to cut holes into fabric for marking and stuff. And so normally, like those little holes or those little marks I put for the flap, the yellow crayon. Wait, that's not it. It's actually already rubbing off, which is good. That I would have done with this, and then I would center my flap over it and sew around it, and then the holes that I put in there would have been encased in the stitching. But I knew that would be risky to do that on something I was only sewing one time. I needed to do the placement, and I'm really glad I didn't do that. But it is a really handy thing, and you can use it for stuff like this too. Some things may be too big or too small. I do have multiple dies, and I just don't change them out, but it is really easy. You just unscrew it. I got this here in the States, but I saw Beyond Measure has these, and I've gotten replacement screw punches from her, and then all the little holes go there. So it is pretty cool. When you depress it, it turns, and that's how it's cutting. It's kind of screwing your fabric with the sharp blade, and then it pops out the hole. So, oh, and that little eyelet punch that came with one of your machines, really? Is Walter? Hey, Walter, how's it going? How's it going? So yeah, that is pretty handy, but I used the thing that came in the kit this time just because it was the right diameter, and it's actually smaller than the one in my screw punch, so it's probably good I didn't use my screw punch. Too big and too small. Too small is easier to deal with than too big when it comes to something like this. So we used that mainly to put in tack buttons on the accordion. So that's why I got really comfortable putting tack buttons in. So, and some of those went badly too, but sometimes it was like a batch and you knew it was that. All right, so let's see. Now I'm gonna put it on here. And is it this one? It's this one, right? This one? Small, get the string, okay. Sorry, okay. Socket and line it with the post string. Okay, this is pretty sure, because this one goes for the other end of it, right there. Let's do this. Ready? Well, that felt good. Okay. Oh, yeah. Not bad. Let's do this one now. When I first did it, I could still feel some movement between this piece and the fabric. And that's why I knew it wasn't set, and that's why I whacked it harder. Well, this one's going crooked. No, don't go crooked. Why are you going crooked? See if I can fix it. cheating. This one feels a little crooked. You see that? At least it's on this, because if I lose this, it's on my flap at least. You know, I can like replace it maybe, hopefully. That's on there pretty good, but it's not as nice as this. Well, it feels pretty good. It's a little crooked. Can you see it? Wait. Oh, you see it? I'm just gonna play with it. Yeah, that fixed it. Okay. Okay, so now, should we attach the other side right now? All right, so I'm lifting the lining out of the way. I think I should put the flap on first, and then we'll attach that side. All right, let's get this out of the way. Let's put this right here. Okay, let's just put this right here, because I'm going to get it in a second again. Okay, how are we doing? Oh no, you turned the computer on. Hello, Lane, how's it going? Can't see crooked. I'm trying to keep up with everything. Okay, so let's see here. I kind of liked one of the things I did with that sample that I sewed was that I attached the flap last, because I didn't have to do the snaps on it, and it held down my lining at the top really nicely. But I don't have my lining attached to this quite yet. And I do need it, so maybe what I could do is I'm just going to attach it to this edge. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to attach it to this edge here. So I'm putting it right sides together, and 1/4 inch seam. There we go. So now I can put this flap on, but I can still get all of this out of the way. Did I just put this on? It looks like it's not lined up right. Oh, it's fine. Okay. I'm going to say I cut them all at the same time. Here we go. All right, so now I'm just going to position my flap. If I missed a question, just let me know. Okay, so I'm going to put that about right there. I want 2 rows of stitching to hold it down nice and flat. Sorry. But I have plenty of room, and there's my welt right here. See that? Want me to brighten it up a little bit? Put it about right there. And then my snap will go down here. So I think that's good. See, I'm just centering it over my opening. This is about 7/8 of an inch. So now we're going to close this pocket edge as well. And I'm more comfortable sewing going this direction. Oh, I need to, well, how did I do that? How did I do that? Wait a minute. Oh, I didn't top stitch around my pocket. Okay. So we're going to top stitch around the 3 sides first. I thought I had. So I'm just going to top stitch these 3 sides here first. All right, now we can attach it. Okay, so we've got all of our layers there. Let's make sure they're nice and flat. They're technically supposed to line up to the center front. We've got to catch them in there. And if I kind of want them to stay that way, what I could do is just pin away over here. This. Just so now that it doesn't shift around while I go to do this. And so now let's see, let's look underneath there. Where's that edge? Perfect. Okay, so if we just fold that up there, we know. Right, centered. And again, I like going from this way. Now I'm getting to where the opening is. I'm gonna get rid of this pin so I can make sure I'm controlling it how I want. I think I'm just gonna turn the corner here, stitch on that top stitching a little bit, and then go down again. You need enough room for your presser foot to go by the welt, because that welt is right there. Ooh, it looks so nice. So dark though, sorry guys. Okay, so now where do we want to place this snap? The other side. It is so nice and flat. It feels so good. Maybe I should do this on the, wait, I need this one, I think. I still need this, I think. Yeah. Right? Yep, okay. Hammer. So this little, she calls this like the bowler hat looking one, is going to be the one that goes into this snap right here, right? I have learned from experience that you do not snap these together before, because they're really hard to get apart when you don't have the leverage of pulling with the fabric. So it's tempting though. You want to make sure you have it lined up properly. So make sure I have all this nice and flat. Just kind of letting it rest on that. So it's going to go there, right there. And I'm just going to put a little hole. Oh, I lost it. I'm going to put a little hole with my awl so I have a little marker. So just rest it on there. That. This is where I want this. I don't want to go through my lining. Like this. Okay. So now let's get all that out of the way. We don't want to go through our lining. That would be sad. And we're going to punch a hole. Did it do it? Better have done it. This thing is so sharp, but Maybe I'm just being too hesitant. There's my hole, okay. And then I'm gonna stick this through here. And this through here. And now I need to look how we hammer this in. So let's leave that there. Let me look at the directions again. Oh, that is such a good tip, Ray. Putting chalk onto the tip. How did they get the chalk on there? What little machine? Oh, little brother. Oh. Oh, that's pretty cool. Let's see. Okay, so now we're down here. Okay. Okay, we got that. Push that through. Put the bowler hat on top. Place the stud on the post of the anvil. Do we do it on that side? We might. Ooh. Place the stud on top of the post. Wait, place the stud on top of the, oh yeah, okay. And the post on top of the anvil. So I'm going to do it this way. Layer, layer, layer. Okay. Stay. Let's get this so that it behaves. So we're not worried about it. Oh, let's get rid of my pins here. That's my problem right now. There we go. Ah, that's what it was. Okay. Forgot I put those on there. Get all this nice and relaxed. Ah, that's so much better. The little things, right? Now what do I do with my little tool? Okay. Make sure. Using the wider setting tool with the indent at the bottom. And align the indent with the stud. Hammer the setting tool a few times, lock it on the post. Okay. Let's do it. Ready? Ooh, that felt so easy. Yeah, that feels pretty good. Oh, but you know what I forgot to do? Interfacing. Well, that was dumb. I forgot to put interfacing. I even have some set aside and everything. Shoot. Shoot. Well, it works good. But I have a feeling that maybe over time, it's actually not pulling too bad. All right. Don't forget your interfacing. Learn from me. But that looks so good. Okay, so let's finish sewing this little pocket, and then we'll be able to breeze through the other one. Right? Oh, like a pool cue. Oh. Yeah, that's what it's on the closet case site. All right, so we're going to sew around the perimeter of our pocket. That's all. I don't want to sew down the center front, but I will. Because I could just attach that to the center front. I almost caught the fabric there. All right. We Gucci. Okay. I'm all nervous now. Yay! So I just need to sew my welts there, like that. So I'll hand sew them down like that. Make them look nice and clean, finished. Okay, let's do our other one. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I should not have, I don't know why. I know why. Just there's a lot of details. So let's do that right now. Let's go put a little piece of interfacing here. Okay, so we have all our pieces here. I think I'm just gonna do because the linen is pretty lightweight. It will be waxed, but you know, it didn't get waxed before I did the snap. But it's not like the wax is there to give it more body. I wouldn't have been able to rely on that anyway. So do we think that's about right there? Sometimes I wonder if I can too, Nancy. What's really funny to me is some of the mistakes I make that I could probably not even mention to you guys. You would never, ever know. But I don't know that. I can't really, like it's really plain as day in front of me. Okay, this is the back side, right? It is not the back side. Disaster number 2, almost. We just averted a disaster. I can't tell really what you guys can see and what you can't until I look back at the video, which I so rarely do. This is why I aren't interfacing from the right side. But sometimes I'm looking for a timestamp or to see, oh, did I do that in that video? And then I'll look and I'll be like, wow, I just spent all that time correcting that thing and they didn't even know I did that. Keeping it real. So I'm utilizing the look of the flap, but I have substituted the pocket. So the two main things I did that are different from the instructions are I'm making a drop-in welt pocket with a flap and the snap still, so it looks a lot like the Kelly, and I changed the back yoke. And what was the other thing, Ray? I did something else. I removed the shoulder seam. That's what it was. So yeah. But only because I'm waterproofing it. And I'm not a big fan of the way those other pockets look. They're okay. They're just kind of bulky for me. I love the idea of those pockets because I could put a ton of stuff in it. I checked to make sure my wallet could go into this pocket. Okay. All right, I'm so excited. Okay, so we have this one here. Now, don't get cocky, staring at me. Don't get cocky. Second one doesn't mean it's gonna go better. Sometimes it goes worse. Right? Okay, so we're just gonna center our little welt there. That's the armhole. Yep, okay. I lost a little bit of my wax when I ironed. But I can still see my old dots there too, so we'll move this down a little bit more, like this. Alright, can you see okay? Oh, it's so dark. I did hear it. I'm gonna brighten that up a little bit. I mean, I actually, Aunt Nancy, I was about to say, I'm not going to do that. Is that even changing anything? But I actually did do that on the cozy slippers. I commented on that video and said, make sure you sew this in 4-way stretch. Because my niece and nephew can't get those slippers on and off. So now I'm making them a new set. Oh, I need to order shearling. And I'm going to make them matching jammy bottoms because I feel so bad. Okay. Sometimes when I'm making a welt, like when I'm doing it professionally, I put an imaginary center on here, and I will sometimes even mark it. So the camera's kind of in my way right now. I'll do this, and I will sometimes put a really visible marking on the seam allowance there, like, you know, like a little triangle clip like that, so that I can get all this like lined up perfectly. You don't have to do that. Not sure why I'm doing it. Okay, so my fabric is right side up. My pocket is really easy to get confused, but because it has a print, it really helped that I wouldn't do it the wrong one, you know. Okay, so let's fold this here. Oh, this is how I do it. I fold it like this so I can see the halfway point. And then center that on there. Again, this isn't how you would do it in production, but we're just doing one, right? Let's feel that. I'm on either side. I kind of want this a little bit further up so I can see the ridge of the welt down the center. Okay. How's that look on the camera? Looks okay. Line it up a little better this time so I don't take anything out. Make sure you're like barely off that welt. This is kind of the key to making those fit in that opening and look good, and getting crisp corners. If you have a soft corner, like you don't want to turn the corner too soon and get a soft corner, you have to sink the needle down in the actual corner. Otherwise you get a soft corner and it doesn't give you puckers, but it doesn't give you a nice box. Right. So now we're going to cut. Hey Patty, how's it going? Nice to see you. Kind of just want to get this first. Get rid of this little corner, it's gonna fall off. Just cut it out. Get rid of that bulk in there. It's just a little corner of the welt in there. It was hanging on by a thread. These aren't coming out as these like the little corners aren't falling off like the other ones were. So I'm a little tighter probably to it. All right, so let's see how it looks. And we're going to, like, I can look on this side too and see, like, I didn't quite get into that corner. I probably should have done on the other one. I probably lucked out. Get in there. And now pull your fabric through. And now we're going to press this opening. Oh yeah, there's so many ways to do it, and I'm showing the simplest, I feel like, when you still have a welt. There's some really classy ways to sew them, and it's a definite, like, when you start getting into doing these, you start realizing how many ways there are and how many styles there are, and how many different ways to sew it together. Those like back pockets on men's, like a pair of Dockers or khakis or whatever, those I'm pretty sure are done automatically on a machine. Like there's probably not an operator sitting there. So the machine's going to be able to do things because it probably has like attachments and little arms and stuff on it. When I was first learning to sew, the hallmark of a good sewist was the bound buttonhole. Yes, and I do feel like that's a little bit of a snobby accent because I felt like it was kind of a snobby thing. The idea of doing a bound buttonhole is like not a very useful skill, but it is a really cool party trick, you know? And I'm not trying to throw shade on it. It just, I think what's more important is being able to do the things you need really well and consistently. I think that's really, really important. Both those things, doing well and consistently, and knowing how to get yourself out of a pickle. Doing a bound buttonhole is really cool, but every time I've seen someone say, I did it, I finally did the bound buttonhole, they've never done it again. But it is really cool. And basically a bound buttonhole is like a miniature welt pocket hole, like just this welt as your buttonhole, but it has two welts meeting, and then that's your buttonhole. And they're tiny. How unappealing does that sound to sew? This turned out pretty good though. This is the easiest way, I feel like, to get a welt that still looks like the welt, but you have all the bells and whistles of the flap and those. Yeah, no thanks, exactly. Oh, hey, Kathleen. Oh, shoot, yeah, sorry. Hey, Prim, nice to see you. Yeah, so, you know. Okay, I already did the snap on this, so that's kind of cool. So what was my next step? I top stitch around my welt. Oh man, unthreaded my needle. Hardest thing I do on camera is threading a needle. You think it's a welt pocket, but it's threading a needle. Okay, so now I'm going to top stitch around this. Yeah, here we go. I would have like done so many other different things to this. I think if I don't know, like I think one of the things I would have done in this pocket is put a little bit of a splash of a hand warmer fabric on this pocket lining that already got in here. Because I could have just sewed a circle of some fleece or something on there. But I just feel like I'm already taking this jacket a little far, and I don't want people to be like, oh, you're not sewing it the way I need you to sew it, and I don't want it to be inaccessible. You know, like, I can give up my hand warmers, you know. Nancy, right? You never done it again. They look like mouths. Yeah. No, Helen, binding is the way, the only way. I don't know what you're talking about. How dare you? Okay, so let me attach my lining here at the top. Like if I were sewing this over and over, designing this as a pattern, I would make these steps a little more, I would make these different. I would make them a little more streamlined. Think about this kind of jacket in production. This jacket actually wouldn't be sewn in production the way it's sewn, especially the waist casing. And there's a lot of things they would do, but because it's been designed for a home sewing crowd, and you know, to get the most success out of it, right? Yes, I do. Because I'm from California, I need hand warmers. Because according to everyone else, we're babies. But think about this jacket in production and how many times it would have to leave the sewing machine and go to a different workstation, interrupting the sewing process to keep it going. And that would be doing the snaps and stuff like that. So, see, Helen, binding is the way. Okay, so let's place our pocket. And I'm just going to, what I like is I've been folding it, laying it on, lining up with that lining there. And centering it. Just centering it. See, because there would be markings there. And once you've sewn a few, you would be able to trust your markings. I think a lot of us just don't really trust markings. I forgot to top stitch it. Top stitch your pocket. You know, I forgot I put a small bobbin in to get rid of it. Now I'm paranoid. My machine kind of sounds a little crunchy today, so I'm hoping my bobbin's not about to wonk. Okay, I made it. I made it. Okay. Let's look at it. Well, we have enough. Okay. We have enough. Thank you, Helen. Oh, man. This is why the second one is sometimes worse. Okay, so let's put this back on here. I'm going to center it. I just center it between the welt there like that. And then I'm going to, I can feel the lining in there, and I've just been kind of lining it up with that raw edge there, just like that. And if I can fold this back on the flap, I know I've got it, and I can see the lining there. We're good. Okay. So now I'm going to top stitch this down. And remember, I'm also closing the flap at the same time. I'm going to try and tuck in this white so that it doesn't show to the right side. Wait. Oh, I'm getting a little off here. I just like that it holds my lining down, and that's why I'm trying to stitch through the lining as well. It's actually, all these placements worked out really well because my presser foot is right up against the welt there. Tired of hearing my presser foot yet? Okay. We need hand warmers, exactly. Okay, so we've got I've got my interfacing on there. Let's see if it's still lining up. Does it line up? Oh, look at that. I think I'm gonna add a little bigger piece. That's so annoying. Okay, so let's add a little bit better piece of interfacing. Bye-bye. You could also just use a piece of fabric too. If you ever open up your coats with things like this, you'll see a little piece of fabric in there. Oh, but I lost where that was now. I should have not ripped it off quite yet. Okay. Cutting it close. I do rounded because sometimes the corners give you kind of a distinct edge. Have you ever seen that? You know, like then you notice it through the jacket or the project. Yeah, the coat's going to be lined, Kathleen. There's you can get a lining expansion pack. So that's what I'm doing. Kathleen, what did you comment? Oh, you just made a comment on my YouTube about the design series, and your comment made me reminded me of that you might like. If you're on Instagram, which I think I've seen you on Instagram. There's an account called Can You Sew This For Me? And so many of the things you said remind me of that account. You might like it, and you might get some confidence from some of the posts on that Instagram page. Can you sew this for me? Yeah. Yeah, so I would check that account out. That is like the place for all the people to go that hear, you know what you should do? Or it'll be so easy for you. Oh, hem my pants, and I want you to do it for free. And because you have a sewing machine, of course you're supposed to do that, you know. So, all right. So this time I've got my lining out of the way, and it just flopped over so nicely because I didn't have it pinned. Oh yeah, Ray. I mean, I could have bonded it even better to where it wouldn't have been so easy, but yeah. That stuff's not that sticky. I don't really need to, I can sew that afterwards, so I'll just pull that out of the way. All right, so we have our last little one here. This, because we don't want to hurt Phoenix. We need this. We need this one, right? And then that's it. We need to mark where it's gonna go. Okay. Got my bowler hat. Okay. Pin to pin, here we go. There. I don't want a pin. I want my all. I'm so quiet and I'm concentrating. Let's double check it. I love how the person who wrote the Kelly Anorak tutorial on how to do this has made like six. At this point, they're like, I made 6 anoraks before I ever did my where'd my hole go? Before I ever did my first snap, and I'm like, what? I'm not even practicing before my stream. Come on. Okay, there we go. I probably could use a little extra caution when it comes to certain things. I know. But I was worried that what if I don't have extra snaps, you know? I don't need you. I need you. I need you. Okay. We're going to put this here. We put the post down. We put our hole over the post. We put our bowler hat. You know, he needs a little hat. We put our setting tool on top. And voila. I feel like a pro. But you can darn well bet me look at those instructions again when I get to making all the center front ones. Ooh. Why is it so hard to unsnap? What the heck? I can't get it unsnapped. Oh man, that was so hard. That makes me so nervous. It turned out perfect. Why was it so hard? All right, let's sew the sides of our pocket, and then let's do something else besides anything but this pocket. That's so funny. But they'll charge you $500. You know what, Penny? They pinned mine today, and I was like, really? Yep, exactly. $500 there. Lou. Oh, the pronged one. Oh, yeah. I forgot about those. That's the kind you do this, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree. And my friend had a snap setting tool, and I've also, like a little machine. And then I've also worked places where we had the kick press. It was like, here. You think it'll loosen up? Okay, I'm glad this is the one that has the interfacing. My machine is sounding a little bit crunchy. I'm just going around the perimeter. I can barely get there, but I got there with no problem. Like, it won't look weird or anything. All right. Coolio. Ooh. All right, it's already been 2 hours and all I did was Welt Pockets. So when your friends say, oh, I love your Anorak, did you make that? You'd be like, yeah, and you can just refer them to my video and they can see how long it took me. Okay. Well, that's how the back looks, by the way. I didn't even think about showing it. Maybe I got it too tight. Okay, what's next? So I think I'm going to do the shoulders and the yoke right now on the back and the front. And then I'll probably call it a day so that I'm fresh for the zipper. And then we're going to go right into the zipper. And so sewing part 2. What day of the week? Oh, it's today's Saturday. Oh, because we cut a couple days ago. So we'll do the sewing part 2 on Thursday. Pronged, not tack button. Yeah. Oh, the pronged one, not snap buttons on jeans. Oh, you mean the... Oh, I may not know what that is. Do you mean like there's those 2 flat prongs that come up and then you cut 2 slits and you push those through? Because I've done those for magnetic snaps and those are actually really nice. Setting them was such a pain. People were always like, you know what you should do? You should add magnetic snaps to your bags. And I was like, yeah, they're $3.50 for a set. They were so hard for me to find at the time. And installing them took like lots of minutes per, and I was like, too many pieces too. Too many pieces. I still have some from those days when I would make it for other things, and I'm missing like 2 pieces. Yeah. Is there a way, so is there like a tool to put those on that's easier, Terry? Huh. That's pretty cool. When I started bag making as my business, I just saw you had a comment, Kathy. I haven't seen that yet. The internet was a baby compared to what it is now. It was huge, but it wasn't like, marketplace wasn't what it is now. And so finding, like, if I wanted to find magnetic snaps, it was hard. There may not even have been Google there probably was Google, but I'm just trying to paint a picture that finding access to certain things like that was really tough. I had come from the outerwear industry and the garment making industry, not the bag making industry, so I was still trying to find those vendors. So that was a challenge, finding access to that. And now, like, every indie pattern maker that makes bags can actually sell the supplies, which is so cool, All right, so here's my back. Okay, what did Kathleen say? So a curved hem and a skirt by Itch is called the cat. Oh. Oh, you don't want puckers. How wide is your hem allowance do you get? I'm gonna raise this up, but I'm still kind of zoomed in. All right, so we have our back and our front. I'm pretty pleased with these. I'm a little worried about this one snap though. Okay, I think you're right, Nancy. And you know what? I think I'm gonna break it in before I finish. Yeah, like I've done that too. I've done that. Like what I like sometimes to do is a stay stitch, and I don't even make it different length. I just kind of keep it my same stitch length, and then I do it just barely inside the seam, the hemline, and then I pull that so then it wants to curve, and then I just tuck it. But if it's going the other way, like you have to spread it apart, it has to be really narrow or binding. What am I doing here? We're doing the yoke. So which one is it that has, one of these has interfacing on it, and it is it's this one here. So actually I'll do this. I'll do the fronts first so I don't get these two confused. So I'm going to do something, I don't do the burrito method. But you can totally do that. And you're going to have to pretend like my shoulder seams are already sewn. Because they are. Wait, is this the same? Yeah, this is the same size over here, right? Oh, this is my shorter one. Wait a minute. Okay, so it's this one here. Okay, and you're going to see me use narrower seam allowance than calls for in the pattern. That is one sewing difference on mine, but just stick to whatever you got going, because I don't like the 5/8 for a lined garment. That's just my personal preference, and you can trim it off, but it did take me a while. Funnily, that took me a while. All right, so let's do the other front. Oh, InfoSeek, I remember that. Yeah, right, Penny? Alta Vista, I remember that too. I remember when Google came onto the scene. I remember them being interviewed on Fresh Air. It's a long time ago. I also remember my friend Elisa, super smart cookie. She was a botany, and is. She had just gotten her master's in botany when she had her son, and that's how I met her, because we both lived in the same town. We were in the same birth group, and like we lived in a little tiny town, and it was kind of cool. We were like, oh cool, we actually live in the same town as each other. And then I hung out with her a lot. You know, we watched other's kids and stuff, and she ended up getting her PhD in botany, and now she's a teacher in South Carolina, I think. And she would always say, did you try Google? Did you try Google? Did you try Google? And it was being around her that made me realize that I could search the internet for things, and it just wasn't my thing. And she kind of underscored how like big that world was. And because I was around her, I got used to that, probably sooner than other people. And then that's what I was that person to other people. I would just tell them, did you try Google? Did you try Google? So this, because I don't have shoulder seams, doing this right sides together, I don't even have to do any special method. It's really easy because the opening between the shoulders is so huge, you know. This jacket's going to be lined. It's going to be lined, so really I didn't need the double layer of the yoke, but I wanted it as extra warmth and sturdiness because the linen's pretty lightweight. And now people will say things like, I'm not your Google. Which is funny. Oh, yeah, Kathleen. I like that method for doing those kinds of hems. Just using the serger, because it kind of, in general, the serger kind of pulls because it tightens it up a little bit, as long as you don't have a differential on or something that's stretching it out. And then you can, I think I just got wiggly right there. I did, yeah. You can use it as like a guide to sewing your hem, which is kind of nice. Okay, so now I have my shoulders on, and I think that one thing I didn't take into account is removing the seam off of the back, off the shoulder. Put my yoke on the bias on the front, and what I really should have done when I cut this out was kept the front yoke on the straight grain and put the back yoke on the bias. That would have been so genius, because it would have given me a little ease in wearing it. But it's such a against your nature, like when you have a pattern piece on the fold, that you always put that on the straight grain. And what I should have done was just put that fold on the bias and then cut, and then it would have made my fronts on the straight grain. So right now my fronts are on the bias, which you cannot see, I'm sure, and my back is on the straight grain. So here we go. Here's my jacket so far. All right, so let me see if I need to top stitch. I don't want to just jump ahead if I don't top stitch yet. But I'm going to treat these as one piece of fabric. Because the next thing we're going to do, I always notice myself with this. Okay, we got our shoulders. So we are up to is that top stitching? Oh, they pushed the seams down. Wait a minute. Wait, I see top stitching right there, but I don't see top stitching. I don't see. Oh, so you can. They have full, flat fell seam instructions in here, which is interesting. Since it'll be lined, but I think that it actually is really good for giving it some more stability. And maybe I'll just top stitch mine. I don't really need it to be finished as a flat fell because it's lined. The lining is going to help that. Okay. Press shoulder seam flat towards the back and top stitch along shoulder seam. Match side seams front and back. Check the rest is good. So side seam first. Okay, well I see stitching right here. Maybe that's just the yoke stitching. Alright. I'm going to top stitch it. And I'm going to put my neck basting in. I'm going to press this first. There we go. So the next step is the casing, and I started having some big dilemmas because I want the casing. I would really like the draw cord to be on the inside, but you sew your zipper together before your lining is on, which is kind of unconventional, but it makes probably sense for if you were lining the jacket. And this was originally not a lined jacket pattern. So for them to have, made a lining pattern is pretty nice. And, it's
would be completely asking them to redesign the whole pattern and the instructions, the whole darn thing, if you were going to change certain aspects to it. So I'm sure they just kept it that way. Because you start sewing the casing and then you finish later, and it's kind of interesting. You're gonna understand what I mean when I'm doing it. But I really like the look of the way the one is without lining, because the casing goes to the inside of the garment. And then just your eyelet is on the outside where your draw cord goes through. But what I would like is the draw casing to be on the inside with the eyelet in there, and then you tie your jacket and then button it up, rather than my draw cord being over my flap. You know what I mean, jelly beans? Okay. Alright, so let's top stitch this back yoke. Is this the right side? I like top stitching on the right side. I feel like I just ironed that from the inside. There's so much hair on this. Oh, I'm gonna run out of. I did. I knew it. I knew I was gonna run out of bobbin thread. Well, darn. Because my stitches are kind of close together. Let's change it now. I have 3 navy bobbins. 2 of them are like halfway, and that's why I wanted to get it back down to just 2 bobbins. I only like having 2 bobbins. Where's my little thingy? Oh, here it is. I've literally thrown this away 4 times because I want to replace it, and then I don't replace it, and then I have to use it some more. Alright, here we go. I'm going to top stitch this. I still need to fix that. Do I want 2 rows of top stitching? I think I'm going to do 2 rows. It'll look cool. What are you guys all working on? I know Kathleen's hemming. Are you guys doing anything like this weekend? Okay. Can you see okay? Probably not, huh? Where the plot? What plot line? So in case you missed my announcement at the beginning, my landlord popped his head in after my stream the other day and offered me a smaller suite. That is a short story. So, and I told him what I could pay and he's gonna get back to me. So there's a chance that I'm gonna be able to stay here and I'll just live stream here and I can do everything else from home. So that's my really good news. And I'll know more, but I feel pretty optimistic about that. I'm already done with the yoke. I don't need to do the burrito method on this because I don't have a shoulder seam here. It was really easy. If you want another method on doing a yoke, if you don't like the burrito method, I have one in my how-tos. And it's just a method I developed, which is I find to be, I've never done the burrito method, but I've heard that the way I do it is easier. I just didn't know about that method until, like literally I didn't know about it until like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. And I was like, oh, what is this that people are talking about? And it's just because I really hated, like when I was learning to sew, I really hated having to try and
they didn't teach you how to do it that way. You were supposed to like hand sew the inside yoke, or turn it under and edge stitch it and nail it. And I was like, no, I hate doing that. And so what I did was I just would put my short seams right sides together still. So yeah, this is good news. Oh, you're unpacking. Nice. Hello, Barbara. Nice to you. Oh, good. I'm glad you guys are here to hear that. I wasn't sure if you heard it in the beginning. Your 7-year-old, her very first long stitch. Nice. How's your 7-year-old liking it? Okay, I did both those. I have double. Yep. Okay, we're good. This is looking pretty good. Oh, I'm gonna do my stay stitch my neckline. I trimmed my neckline down to a 1/4 inch seam allowance. That's one thing I am pretty picky about, especially with all the thicknesses. Definitely want to do that because my neck is a lot on the bias. I'm trying to get it to not get stretched out. Okay. Stay lined up, please. Stay lined up. No loosey-goosey stuff here. Alright, so now our neckline is stay stitched. So, I need to do the... I'm going to make sure I have the waist where I want that waist thing. I was going to try and do that last, do the grommets for the draw cord today, but I'll just wait. I'll make sure that it's in the right spot. Yeah, this is great news. It's so funny because I really thought a lot about options before I gave notice. I've been thinking about options since the day I started. Because I knew, I was like, all right, you can't just, you just can't spend the money, your only profit from one business to do this for very long. Like I had to have a limit, And do I think that this will keep growing and do well? I do, but I don't really need to deficit spend to get there. If it happens, it happens. And so I've always been thinking about options and trying to be creative. I've moved my office so many times in order to be flexible and affordable. And I can't stand moving it because it's a lot of heavy equipment. And I do it by myself, by the way. I get movers to load into a truck and unload, but I move everything else and pack everything else and do it all by myself. And it's a lot, I had Rayanne to help when I moved offices with her there. That was awesome. She's such a, strong person. So when I gave my notice, I felt pretty firm on that. I was like, yep, this has to happen. You need to get rid of the biggest expense, and that's it. And you'll figure it out at home. And I had kind of this mourning process over it. I was just like, oh, this makes me I don't want to become obsolete. It's like these weird emotional things you go through, I think, as you're getting older, You're like, okay, I'm going to not be useful anymore. And I don't want to be that, I didn't get to have the career I wanted as far as working in the garment industry because I had to compromise a little bit because of where I lived and because of having a kid and my husband's work were jerks and offered him money, and which made it so that when I relocated, I had to go back, which really made me mad. And I wasn't mad at my husband. He couldn't turn that down, but I was pretty mad that they would offer him money when they wouldn't have offered me money, but they kept wanting me to come back to work there, and it really made me hurt. and it showed how they valued each of us, even though I was the trained person for the design room, you know? So it was a very sexist thing in that instance. Don't worry, I know that it was. So, you know, I'd already given all these, like, I'd already compromised all these things throughout my career, and I just kept working, kept figuring things out and doing things so I could stay busy. And so to get this far and just be like, oh, man, I can't do this because of internet? Because of internet. This kind of bugs me. But at the same time, I was like, you know, I could do with a little less screen time in my life anyway. Maybe this will lead to something else. Maybe this is just going to be something will come from this, and I just have to trust in that. And I'm not going away. I'm still going to be doing video and everything. And maybe something will work out at an office up in Paradise or something. I just can't figure out if they have internet there. And I've called City Hall and I've asked them, and they can't even tell me if places have internet. That's how weird it is up there right now. You can't call an internet company and ask about a property unless you are the landlord or the tenant. It's illegal. Like, you know, it's like privacy stuff. So I can't just say, well, is there high-speed internet to that address? They won't tell me anything. So it's just this weird conundrum. And some places have it and some places don't. So I've tried to think of everything. Right now, you know, and so when I was talking to a friend, her friend was nearby, and she's the one who offered the place in her house. And I've thought about the community college in my valley, but I feel like that's kind of, I've even looked at their website. I don't even know how to contact them. And I think approaching that, you know, through an email, it's easy to just be like, whatever. And so I think that I would have to pick my moment and be the right person to see my question, right? So I'm still going to work on that angle, like being at the college. There's no students there right now, so maybe there's a possibility there that they have a closet somewhere they can rent to me for internet, especially since it's educational purposes and I don't make money doing it. So I figure there's some potential there. And someone else brought up the ASG, so maybe I'll look into that. But it's a lot. That's a lot of work when I'm still doing the streaming, the pattern drafting, videos and all that, and I have to move and pack, you know? So just the idea of leaving this internet behind made me go, hey, but I'm still willing to rent internet from you. Allowed him to go, I have a smaller suite, you know? So that was great. And he said, what are you willing to pay? And, you know, I said $300. And he was like, okay, let me think about that. And is that like dirt cheap? Yes. But it's what I'm willing to pay. If I'm not making money, why not, right? I'm just going to go for it. And if he doesn't have to say yes, right? Don't know if you don't ask. And there's like things about the office. It's not a separate entrance. I'm going into their building. Will I have a lock on my door? Will there be people out in the office talking sometimes? So there's some things about it that kind of make it less easy for him to rent to just anybody. And it's the same with my office. My office has some weird quirks too. So there's always that potential. And I think if you're a go-getter like me, it's not overwhelming to do. It gets kind of tiring sometimes, because sometimes I'm like, I just want to do this. I just want to sew. I just want to sew and hang out. But at the same time, like, that kind of hustle isn't for everybody. But other people may not have to hustle like that. So it just depends on what you're willing to do, right? My friend, there was this cross stitch I saw on a pattern, and it was, and I don't like cross stitching, but it was good things come to those who hustle. And this acquaintance person said, I would do that for you. I would do it in trade for chicken boot stuff. And so I have that in my hallway, in my handmade hallway, and I love that thing. Good things come to those who hustle, and I feel like you guys are my good things, so you guys are worth it. And I like this, so I wouldn't hustle if I didn't, right? Anyway, that's my speech for today. My TED Talk. I always listen to TED Talk before I come on Saturdays. TED Radio Hour. I love that show. So, all right. You guys are really quiet. I'm going to go. You're making me feel awkward now. All right. And I will have another video in that series on the design and manufacturing. If you're interested in that kind of thing, the next one's going to be really good. I think people are going to like it and hate it, because I'm going to give people one question to answer And they're not going to like it, but it's going to be a really important question, and it's going to be all about costing and pricing and stuff like that. And that's probably going to be I'll probably do multiple episodes on that because it's such a big topic, and I feel like that's what people really, really, really want the information on. So, and you know, I may not have been like the whatever of bag making, but I did run my business smartly. So your next single step, just stay right there and tune in when I'm live. That's all. I'll see you guys Thursday, and we're gonna do the zipper, we're gonna do the waist casing grommets, hood, and we'll probably even get to some of the lining as well. Or maybe we'll be doing the sleeves. So the zipper, the hood, and the sleeves of this is probably what we'll be, and the waist casing grommet. So we're gonna be, these are good. These are good chunks. Yeah, right, exactly. Thanks for all your support, you guys. You guys are awesome. And don't worry, I'm gonna keep doing it. So I will see you guys Thursday. I can't get my mouse to work. Bye. Happy weekend.